If you are just tuning in, wherever you may be and however you may be watching or listening, thank you for making me a part of your day. I'm going to try to pull up some more stuff about this potential arrest of this individual in Altoona, Pennsylvania, connected to the murder of Brian Thompson, the UnitedHealthcare CEO. Exclusive, the New York Post is reporting person of interest in the fatal shooting of UnitedHealthcare CEO Brian Thompson, ID'd as Luigi Mangione, an ex-Ivy League student. Person of interest identified in the killing of UnitedHealthcare CEO Brian Thompson is an anti-capitalist former Ivy League student who liked online quotes from Unabomber Ted Kaczynski raging against the country's medical community. Raging against the country's medical community. Tech whiz Luigi Mangione, 26, of Townsend, Maryland, which is where my mother is buried, by the way. She's buried outside Townsend, Maryland, was taken into custody Monday morning at a McDonald's in Altoona, Pennsylvania, after an intense manhunt following the cold-blooded execution of Thompson outside a Manhattan hotel last week, sources said. He has not been charged. The former prep school valedictorian was caught with a manifesto that appeared to list grievances with the healthcare industry, including taking on their enormous profits, and alleged shady motives, sources said. Police have taken a person of interest. There he is, smiling. Looks like a handsome guy. He is believed to have acted alone, and it was unclear if he had yet to make any statements. Mangione has subscribed to anti-capitalist and climate change causes, in addition to showing he despises the healthcare industry in the country, according to law enforcement sources, citing online activity gleaned by authorities. On the Goodreads website, Mangione's account shows quotes he particularly likes, ranging from Socrates to Bruce Lee to wacky anti-establishment Ted Kaczynski, the infamous Unabomber who terrorized the country for nearly 2 decades by planting deadly bombs before he was nabbed in 1996. This is wild, man. This is wild. So this is the New York Post reporting that this man is potentially in custody. There he is. There's the silencer. That's a pretty close range shot. It's wild. This is the timeline, what they know about the shooting. 6:48 a.m. The shooter rides the bike to the center. Okay, so hold on. At 6:44, the victim is walking alone towards the New York Hilton Midtown, 1335 6th Avenue, after exiting his hotel across the street. Shooter, who was lying in wait alongside the building, fires at him. Shooter then runs to an alleyway between 54th and 55th. Once at West 55th Street, the shooter continues to walk on 6th Avenue, where he gets onto an electric bike. Shooter rides north on 6th Avenue towards Central Park. 6:48, the shooter rides the bike into Center Drive. Imagine a society that subjects people. So this is some of the things that Mangione supposedly liked on social media. Imagine a society that subjects people to conditions. Keep everybody on. Imagine a society that subjects people to conditions that make them terribly unhappy, then gives them the drugs to take away their unhappiness, Kaczynski wrote at one point in a quote liked by Mangione. Science fiction is already happening to some extent in our own society. Instead of removing the conditions that make people depressed, modern society gives them antidepressant drugs. Science fiction, it is already happening to some extent in our own society. Instead of removing the conditions that make people depressed, modern society gives them antidepressant drugs. In effect, antidepressants are a means of modifying an individual's internal state in such a way as to enable him to tolerate social conditions that he would otherwise find intolerable. Mangione was valedictorian of his 2016 high school graduating class at the Gilman School in Baltimore, where he played soccer, according to online sites. High school tuition at the all-boys school is nearly $40,000 a year. He said at the time of graduation that he planned to seek a degree in artificial intelligence focused on the areas of computer science and cognitive science at the University of Pennsylvania, according to an interview with the Baltimore Fishbowl. Hopefully y'all will join. Person of interest, you're just joining. A person of interest has been detained in the UnitedHealthcare CEO shooting of Brian Thompson. He's been identified as Luigi Mangione from Townsend, Maryland. All right, here we go. I am over these guys.
Hey, Harris. Well, we never know exactly how quickly these things are going to move. All morning, I've been in Central Park as these dive teams have been doing everything they can to find what I was told was the weapon because they couldn't track it down. Now, investigators and NYPD police sources, Harris, telling Fox News that they believe they found a man who matches that same description of the gunman who killed that CEO in Midtown Manhattan. They found him at a McDonald's in Altoona, Pennsylvania. Okay, that's like a 5-hour drive from where we are right now. We knew that the person of interest had possibly hopped on a bus and fled town. Now we're being told they believe they have that person of interest in Altoona, Pennsylvania. So we kind of talked about this earlier when I checked in with you. Person of interest, suspect, they're keeping it at person of interest right now, and they're just saying he matches the description. But not only does he match the description for people watching at home, he also, according to investigative sources who are telling Fox News, he had the weapon they believe was used in this murder in his pocket. So this is what happens, I'm told, from police, and it's still developing.
This is just
person's
wild.
At this McDonald's in Altoona. We've been putting these pictures out all across the country because it's been a nationwide manhunt. So they've been asking people, do you recognize this man in the photo? We want to talk to him. We think he was linked to this ongoing investigation. Well, somebody, Harris, said that McDonald's in Pennsylvania recognized him, called it into local police, and here we are right now. So if this ends up panning out and they are going to question this guy in Pennsylvania, we could have a huge break in this case. This comes as that CEO is having a private funeral right now in Minneapolis area where he was from. He was just in town for business where he was gunned down. Back out here live, the question is, what's the motive at this time?
This is his Twitter. And I logged off. I just, it was at 1,700 followers, and now it's at 2,300 followers. 270. So this is him. This is his Twitter. Honolulu, Hawaii. I mean, good looking guy. He's in great shape. There he is this is something that I'll just never understand why people just take these violent routes. I mean, this is a 26-year-old. And again, let me be very, very clear. I do not work in law enforcement. I am not a lawyer. I am not a psychologist. I am just a guy who's been through a lot of shit. I'm not analyzing. Do not listen to me for legal advice. And all defendants are presumed innocent or innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. However, suspect in custody, Luigi Mangione, a Penn student, comes from a good family, went to a $40,000 a year high school in Towson, Maryland, comes from a good family. And this is something that I think that when I talk about violent crime, when I talk about these types of things, again, it does not matter where you come from. People commit acts like this or attempt to do this. Again, he is just a suspect at this time, was caught apparently with the firearm that they're suspecting that was in his possession, and a suppressor, which is a silencer. For those of you that don't know, it is very illegal to carry one of those. That's an automatic, do not pass go, do not collect $200. From my understandings of how these things work, you go straight to prison because nobody is supposed to have that. So, again, and a young person, 26 years old. I remember when I was 26 like it was yesterday. I wish it was yesterday. But I'll tell you, the world is laid out before you and you can have whatever you want. And this is what the route that individuals take. And this is so tragic for everyone involved. The CEO has young children, right? They are right now his funeral, and now they have somebody in custody. This is a young person who's clearly intelligent, went to Penn, the alma mater of everyone else in my family but myself. And that's a good school, Ivy League educated, world is your oyster, and this is what you choose to do with it. This is how you choose to be. I mean, this is just, if this ends up being true, this is a tragedy. This is very, very tragic because it's just, there's so a bright young future, and then you just decide to just throw it all away. Because I would assume that he would, if found guilty, if he is in fact charged and found guilty, he is facing a lengthy prison sentence, I'd imagine. It looks like there's an X-ray here. Looks like a hip sort of thing going on. Maybe he had his own issues with the healthcare industry himself. Maybe he had surgery. Maybe he was denied a claim. I mean, this is all conjecture and speculation, guys. I am not, none of this is known. Obviously a fan of Andrew Huberman, who I occasionally see at my gym. Here he is reposting. Here's a great summary of the anxious generation in tweets. Thank you. Amazing how caffeine is the only drug that has achieved this level of societal. He's reposting this, Lex Friedman, people's podcasts I listen to. Cellular agriculture is where solar power was 20 years ago and EV batteries were 10 years ago. Free ethical money for anyone who's paying attention. This succinct 5-minute article by The Telegram overviews agronomics as a current state of cell agriculture. RemovePaywall.com bypasses paywalls. RemovePaywall.com. I have never even heard of that. I'm going to have to open that link in a new tab and save that for later. Important highlights. Moore's law is cutting costs from exorbitant levels to something closer to griddle parity. At lightning speed, it is a fair bet that Cell AG will become the next NASDAQ darling as investors tire of the AI boom. So he's offering market advice. Again, this is Luigi Mangione, who has been identified as a suspect, whose Twitter following has doubled in the last 10 minutes. It's wild how this stuff just circulates so quickly around the internet.
ID, matching the ID our suspect used to check into his New York City hostel before the shooting.
All right, let's backtrack this a little bit.